27 April 1994. It marked the end of 3 centuries of oppression, segregation and white minority rule. It was the first non-racial election, the establishment of a democratically elected government. Did everything work out? Let's get started. Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to the Democracy Gauge. I'm Bongani Bingwa. Do you remember where you were 25 years ago? The election saw the end of racial segregation, the inhumane treatment of black South Africans in particular, and of course it paved the way for a new constitution. Now, of South Africa's 22.7 million eligible voters, 19.7 voted in 1994. I was proudly one of them. Now, while the ANC gained a majority, they formed a government of national unity with other political parties. And so our poll question tonight is South Africa truly free? You can choose from 3 colors. Green is for yes, yellow is for maybe, and of course if you think no, you choose red. You can also send us a WhatsApp voice note. Do so on 065-862-4548. Our poll is on sabcnews.com. We extend the conversation, of course, to Facebook and Twitter. Remember to use our hashtags on social media, SABCDG25 and SABC News. Well, of course, we have no choice but to take you back to Freedom Day in 1994 when millions of South Africans voted for the very first time. Here's a fantastic insert produced by our Krivani Pillay.
This is for all South Africans an unforgettable occasion.
Hosa, hosa, ho. Hosa, hosa, ho. As night fades out, faded by the sun, 10,000 men stand high on the hill. Allow silence and the earth is still. 10,000 men tremble for the kill. A bunch of flies, the wind and tide, the warrior dies, the battle of time, the scavengers wait, each man will wait, that is made.
We sincerely hope that by the mere casting of a vote, the result will give hope to all South Africans and will make us, all South Africans, realize that this is our country. We are one nation.
I know I'm going to cast my vote free and fair. I feel very, very great. It's a momentous occasion.
Our forefathers have been waiting for it, and I'm glad I've got the time to vote today.
The people are so overjoyed with hope until fear is being cast aside.
Hope and not fear, as Jesse Jackson says there. Now, one of the most iconic photographs of that election was, of course, Nelson Mandela casting his vote for the first time in his life at Ohlange High School in Inanda, KwaZulu-Natal. Madiba chose to cast his vote there because that school was founded by the first president of the ANC, John Langalbalele Dube. And after voting, he went to Dube's grave and declared, "Mr. President, I've come to you to report South Africa is free today." By his side was a woman called Gay McDougall, one of 5 international observers who were monitoring the election process in 1994. So she was famously photographed next to Madiba as he cast his vote. Guess what? We caught up with her in Switzerland to reminisce about that historic day.
Well, first of all, I have to say that it was a tremendous high. It was, without question, the most thrilling moment of my life, an honor, a privilege, and to be there with him after all of the struggle that South Africans had been through, all of the trials, the deaths, the, turbulation in the country. Then finally it comes down to 1 minute, and it's when he casts his vote. And it was such a privilege to be able to be there standing next to him. I also felt in some ways that I was representing the international community, maybe I was, and the role that the international community had played in the struggle against apartheid. But I also felt that in some ways I was representing, as I stood there, the struggles that my own people, African Americans, that we went through in our country, that made the idea of liberation such an important, concept for us, and one that we would also want to help other countries realize. Clearly, there have been very difficult times, we are seeing right now, we hope, the end of one of those difficult periods and the beginning of a new life for the country as well. I think that South Africans should remember the ideals of the liberation struggle and to always strive to make those real in their lives and the lives of the country.
Well, not only, as of course you can see, not only Gay McDougall there, but you saw the figures of Jeff Radebe and one Jacob Zuma in the background. All right, we'll be back with more after this quick break.
On Trains Travel, we bring you a full guide on all things lifestyle related. With so much to discover, we give you comprehensive reviews of places to visit, music, travel, and food. We also explore the arts, whether on or off stage. All this and more, be sure to tune into Trends Travel Saturdays at 5:30 p.m.
We're explorers. We always have been. Endlessly curious. Always looking for answers. For new frontiers. For new stories. Because that is who we are. From script to screen. From yelling action to taking you on a journey. Radio producers. Script writers. On-air presenters. News reporters. Sports analysts. We spend late nights creating captivating storylines and earlier mornings keeping you informed, educated, and entertained. For us, it's not a job, it's a calling. We do this and more because you do your part. SABC TV licenses, made possible by you.
Hello, I'm Nana, and I want to tell you a bit about Economics Unbound. It is a live studio current affairs program that brings an understanding of the economy, how it operates, and how it is managed. The show seeks to include ordinary South Africans in purposeful and well-informed discussions about the economy,
The whole corruption and having to pay people to get businesses, it's like killing our businesses.
while providing them with enough information to make better economic and financial decisions.
And we need to start thinking of new ways of creating new structures that are relevant at the time.
Through this program, audiences can look forward to 30 minutes of deep and tough questioning on the issues of the week.
Why do you think that our economy lends itself to such collusive behavior and such concentration of monopolies in key sectors?
Welcome back to the Democracy Gauge. We're of course looking back on 25 years of democracy in South Africa. We're now joined by Shanila Mohammed, who's the Executive Director for Amnesty International in South Africa. Shanila, good evening to you, and of course welcome to the Democracy Gauge.
Good evening, Bongani, and I'm happy to be here.
All right. As we look back on 25 years of democracy, what progress have we made as South Africa? I mean, it's easy to look back to 1994 and think of the euphoria, but a lot of people would say this freedom hasn't turned out to be the utopia they imagined.
Bongani, I think in 1994, we got our freedom to vote. We got our freedom to become part of a country, to become part of a society that we were excluded from before. But if I look 25 years on, I think South Africans are not free when it comes to economic, social, cultural rights. And I think for me that is the biggest, in a way, sadness that you would feel, that after 25 years people are still living in abject poverty in this country.
In fairness though, I mean, hindsight is 20/20 vision, is it not? If we think about what was possible in 1994. This wasn't a political settlement that was reached in the aftermath of some kind of military victory, for example. It was about compromises. It was about getting the country in the right direction, but always understanding it would be a step-by-step process.
Well, I think that's absolutely true, that it was a compromise settlement. CODESA came with a number of challenges that we all know. But I think what hasn't happened is that step-by-step process that you're talking about. So I think what we're dealing with today is a culmination of a lack of planning, a culmination of wrong choices, a culmination of corruption, a culmination of things that people never thought that they would see 25 years on.
But those are all mistakes that you could attribute to individuals, you could attribute to even particular political parties. It's not about the system itself. What we designed, what we should have got in 1994 should have worked.
Well, it would only work if it would only work if the system that was put into place was designed to unravel what apartheid had set up. So I'll give you one example, education, okay? So access, yes, we've done brilliantly. You know, in 2002 it was 40%, now in 2017 it's 90%.
But access to what?
Exactly. Quality of education. Can we honestly stand here after 25 years and say that our children are getting an education that is worthy of them? No.
So if we look at other, indicators, if you look at, inequality, for example, that seems to have got worse. If you look at healthcare, that remains a challenging situation. But also if you look at things like unemployment, we've made key mistakes. 25 years, you might argue, isn't a long enough time to reverse everything that went before, but it's still, it's a quarter of a century.
Absolutely. And I think that, I think when you're in a position of power, okay, and when your people have been suffering from not just 20 or 30 years, but hundreds of years of colonization, of apartheid. The onus is on you to try to make sure that you have the right systems in place.
So can we still blame apartheid for our misery?
I think apartheid has played a big role because of the baggage and the legacies it's left behind. But to be totally honest, I think that our leaders had the opportunity to at least make a dent in some areas, but they didn't.
One of the reasons it was important for us to speak to you as Executive Director of Amnesty International is that, of course, you've got, in a sense, a bird's-eye view of many countries around the world, of many societies in transformation, grappling with similar difficulties such as we are. How are we doing? I mean, if you compare us to our peers globally, countries of similar background, how are we doing?
I think that, the world is becoming a lot more of a difficult place, and I think that South Africa is no different to a number of other countries in the world. So, for example, when it comes to the issue of shrinking spaces, right-wing rhetoric, nationalism, I think that, fortunately, we're not that affected by in South Africa, but you can see it taking hold in the rest of the world. And I think that, really, to be honest, Bongani, I think the plight of the poor is falling more and more and more off the radar of politicians as they grapple to remain in power globally.
We played a clip earlier, of course, with Gail McDougall and Madiba in KZN on the 27th of April 1994. That vote, that iconic moment, is what we're reflecting about now in terms of what it's yielded. If Madiba was here today and you were choosing to answer our question, is South Africa truly free? What would you show him? Which of these three colors would you choose? Green would be yes, yellow would be maybe, red would be no. Is South Africa truly free?
Sadly, I would choose this, not because I want to, but because, like you're saying, as Amnesty, we've been monitoring the situation over the past 25 years, and we feel that when the majority of people in a country are living in the way that they are living, you cannot hold up either of these. We are still a country that is that has the highest levels of inequality in the world. And it's just unacceptable. I mean, yesterday I attended a community event in Cape Town where people were talking about the fact that they wake up and their children have to wade through feces to get to where they need to go. And I mean, how do we stand here and ever say that that is okay? It's never okay.
All right, the dream has been soiled quite clearly. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Shanila Mohammed, of course, the Executive Director at Amnesty International. Now, the People's View, of course, allows you to interact with us and share your views candidly. Today we're asking the question, is South Africa truly free? Right, these are the WhatsApp videos that you've been sending us. Of course, we always ask you to send them to 065-862-4548. Here's what some of you had to say.
You are free when you're politically connected in South Africa, but if you're just ordinary person just like me, you're not free in this country.
Yes, indeed we are free because we are able to attend the same school with white people, and we also get married with white people.
There's no freedom in our country because many people are still suffering under the ruling party, and many people are still living on shacks. Many people don't have a clean access to water. Many people don't have access to jobs.
South Africa is not free because of these politicians and all the corruptions around the country.
Right, if you want to be part of the People's View in our next show, do send us your WhatsApp videos to 065-862-4548. At the end of the show, I'll throw forward to Monday's topic.
We do not just speak, we let every voice in our nation find full expression in language and in culture. We do not just teach, we empower all people with education. We do not just bring you the news, we place you where the news is happening. We do not just entertain, we take you on journeys. We do not just broadcast sport. We create an arena for sporting heroes to inspire you. Ours is not just a job, it's a calling to ensure that everyone in our nation is informed, educated, and entertained. We're able to do this because you do your part. SABC TV licenses. It's all made possible by you.
The SABC News mobile app is your one-stop digital portal to all the news you need. Stay connected with the latest in breaking news. Watch the SABC News channel along with clips and live streams of all the big news events. And listen to all the SABC News radio stations live, including podcasts and much more. Simply download the SABC News app to your Android or iOS device from either the Play Store or the App Store. SABC News, independent, impartial.
On Trains Travel, we bring you a full guide on all things lifestyle related. With so much to discover, we give you comprehensive reviews of places to visit, music, travel, and food. We also explore the arts, whether on or off stage. All this and more. Be sure to tune into Trends Travel Saturdays at 5:30 p.m.
Solani Mkiva says that they believe that the king should be released and that they are not being opportunistic.
The last 4 years we have been engaging with government. It cannot be a post-colonial government that begins to jail a king in a context of what actually happened.
Bobby Solomons, he's the spokesperson of the Alex Shutdown Committee, the multi-billion rand Alexander Renewal Project. Nothing came of that.
Community wants to know what really happened to the money.
The creative director of the label, Mansu, that of course means black is beautiful in Sesotho. What has been your experience in that regard, given some of the more established labels that you have managed to work with?
It is hard. 15 years is a long time. There's a lot of sacrifice for your family to make for you.
This is the thing.
Wearing without the brief.
This is it this morning.
Well, every day on the show, we return to 1994 to remind you of the build-up to that historic first democratic poll. 25 years ago, the old flag was lowered and a new one raised. The stem made way for Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika.
bathe xa beyicacisa umbala oluhlaza ngomhlaba omnyama ngowabantu oluphuzi ngowezimbiwa ezibubutyebi obomvu ngophalalo lwegazi oluhlaza kwezibhakabhaka nenkululeko omhlophe ngoxolo.
Indeed. Kurt Darren should have watched that one, shouldn't he? Before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the results for today's poll. And here they are on your screen. A whopping 77% of you say absolutely not. South Africa remains not quite free. All right, we're looking, of course, ahead to Monday's discussion. And we're asking the question for that show: can we forgive the proponents of apartheid, those who supported apartheid? Can we forgive the proponents of apartheid? That means our poll, of course, is now open. You can choose from our three colors. We really do encourage you, by the way, to participate in the people's view. So send us your WhatsApp videos. You've got the entire weekend to do so. Do it now, 065-862-4548. We thank you for watching. A happy Freedom Weekend to everyone. From Fortune, myself, and the entire team here at the Democracy Gauge. Until Monday, ubusuku benzolo. Good night.